Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Rising Wolf, or aka Ascendant, if you find it named that. That's what it still is on Letterboxd, but it's not the name of the film anymore. But, you know, that stuff happens. Either way, this movie starts off, this young woman, she's in this strange looking like high-tech elevator, and she just keeps like going up and dropping down, and it's building up this tension, this mystery. What's going on? Why is she here? And this is from writer-director Antaine Furlong, or Anthony Furlong, goes by different names, and starring Charlotte Best as Arya Wolf, who now I'm just, the whole entire time I just kept thinking about Game of Thrones. I'm like, huh. And this is an Australian film. And it's very interesting because two of the things that really stuck out about this film for me were the score and the cinematography, because there's some pretty interesting effects and it has a very distinct look to it. So like technically, this is a cool looking film, and you have cinematographer Frank Flick, who worked cameras and like that department on The Matrix, Dark City, Aquaman, Alien Covenant, and it was interesting looking at this with that kind of lens. And speaking of lenses, pun intended, I guess, it has a very distinct look to it. And you have composer David Hirschfelder, who did films like Shine and Elizabeth and Australia, and the music in this is really impressive. It's pretty memorable. It does kind of feel like greatest hits of certain things, but like a lot of the technical aspects of this film and the thought and the ideas in it are probably the best things. And honestly, it's one of those kinds of films where it's like it sets up this mystery of like, what's this young woman doing here? And then you start to find out like she has superpowers, and so does her sister, and these people are after her family, and the government, she's trying to get in contact with the government to protect them, and all these threads start pulling, and it becomes a lot more convoluted, a lot more over the top and ridiculous, and that's where it starts falling apart for me, because at that point I kind of lost the charm of like, this was a very interesting, mysterious film. And yes, there's still a lot of plot twists and things like that, and a really over-the-top, obnoxious performance by our like villain, played by Andrew Jack, who's this Dr. Thompson, who's doing all these terrible things to her father, who is being tortured, trying to get her to give up some person who's basically a MacGuffin kind of thing. And like, it keeps cutting back to her as a child, and all these flashbacks makes the story structure more complicated. And it's one of those kinds of things where it's like, it was a really interesting ride. Like, the film Oxygen that came out earlier this year stuck to that for the most part, and it was a really effective film in that way. This kind of starts off for like the first 15, maybe 20 minutes of building up this mystery, and then it becomes what it's really about. And it's so overly complicated with so many different things going on. Twists and twists and twists. And after a while, it just becomes too much. And it kind of takes the enjoyment of what the film is doing already away and shifts gears into this thing that isn't working as well. And by the end, it has like this really obnoxious, over-the-top, very cliched, like superpower person triumphant movie ending. I'm just like eye rolling at that point of just like, you gotta be kidding me. At this point, why is this happening? And it's like, it feels like it's setting up for like, could be sequels and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, this movie just went to a whole entire different direction and tried to do too much in just such a compact time and space, and it kind of falls apart. The longer this movie goes on, the more and more I didn't enjoy it, but I respect the technical aspects of this film, and I really respect the ambition of what it was trying to do. It just didn't really feel like it was executed as well as it could have been. So if you're really into like sci-fi, fantasy, and you're okay with like it might not all come together, but you just enjoy the experience of seeing something crazy and out there, you might find some enjoyment out of this. I think it's going to be a little confusing to many viewers, and also it's probably just a hodgepodge of a lot of things that you've already seen before, and winds up feeling very derivative of a lot of different stories. But in the end, there's some enjoyment that you could get from this, even if it's like the first act of the film is a pretty interesting and engaging thriller. Might lose itself as it goes on, but there's still something to get out of it. Not a huge fan, wouldn't necessarily universally like, you all should go check this out, but if this seems like something that would catch your interest and you can find enjoyment out of it, I think it's worth checking out. But those are my thoughts on Rising Wolf, aka Ascendant. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.